Hi, Ben. How are you?
Good, Judy. How about yourself?
I'm doing well today. Thank you so much for coming on board to interview with us. Ben
Glad to be.
Martorano is the VP of Operations for Ansafone Contact Centers based out of Ocala, Florida. Ben, can you share a bit of your role here at Ansafone and your backgrounds?
Absolutely. So my role, I'm vice, as you said, vice president of operations. So I oversee not just the operations department, but the quality department as well. Technically, I guess I have the the largest amount of people reporting to me. In terms of my background, actually, I mean, I hate this. This is all I've done my whole life. I've been in the call center business all but 1 year when I went to retail when I was out of college. Other than that, I've
Mhm.
been in this business my whole life. So, and people ask me why, and I just say, it's very dynamic.
Mhm.
There's always changes every day. So every day is interesting and keeps you
Right.
open to challenge and so forth too. And so, but I got to say, I just love working with people, and this allows me that opportunity to work with a variety of team members from agents all the way up to, presidents and CEOs.
Wow, that's wonderful. Would you say the retail side of your career helped you in the contact center industry?
It's funny. Yeah, I loved it at first, but then after a while, I did. I was only in there for a year, but actually, it's so interesting you say that because as much as I say I didn't, there's things that
Right.
I'll say, oh, I actually remember that. And I think what helped me more is that it was my first management job, so
Mm,
that helped me a lot in terms of kind of developing some principles and just kind of working up from there.
right. That's wonderful. What differentiates you from the competition?
Um, I'm sorry, Ansophone or
Yes, I'm sorry.
okay,
Yeah.
no, my fault, my fault. Well, I would say with Ansophone is this, we are very, you know, we're very flexible in terms of what we can do. We can make moves quickly, and our business is one that you do need to expand quickly and sometimes contract quickly as well too. I think our ability to do that, our ability to start up quickly for clients, I think
Mhm.
is a very good thing for us. And ultimately, I still think we have the best team members who work here.
Right.
And I think we are always usually in client rankings. We're against other vendors. We're usually number one in all categories. And so, yeah, I would say the biggest things for us is our quality and just our ability to meet our clients' needs.
Right. And isn't Ansafone also on its 50th anniversary?
Yeah, I know, and I'm so happy
Right?
to be a part of that. So yes, it's exciting, and we're trying. We've been promoting it throughout our team members and so forth too. And we don't have anyone who's been here 50 years, obviously,
Right.
from our agents, but we have actually a number of agents who have been here 20 years, and it's
Right.
interesting to talk with them to say, how things have changed, and really they know about the industry. Some of
Mhm.
them go back to the olden day of plugging things into a switchboard and so forth too, and you're like, whoa, that is definitely going back in some time. But yeah, it's been really exciting. And I think, what's nice about the 50 years is that, I've been here just a very short time, but I know, we've evolved over time too. And right now, I feel so honored to come in really on the 50-year anniversary because we're going through changes as an organization as well. And
Right.
we're growing up a lot, we're expanding a lot. And I'm just glad to kind of be part of while that expansion goes and be part of the success with it. So
That's wonderful. Yeah, I don't hear about many contact centers be at 50 years for longevity. That's quite
it is.
impressive.
Yeah, it is. And to see, and again, I think it comes back to in any business, right? You need to have the ability to change, right? And to
Mhm.
adapt to times. I mean, unfortunately, COVID has created a lot of, situations that force, a lot of businesses to change,
Mhm.
um, from our standpoint, we look at it from, we weren't working home. Now all of a sudden we had to send everyone home, right? And so I think as an industry, it was kind of new to everyone in terms of having your whole workforce there. But even in the retail end, the restaurant end, and so forth, places that never did take out or pick up now, all of a sudden that's part of their business now, and so forth. It'd be interesting to see when things do get back to normal how that
Mhm.
how it goes in that. Are you still going to continue to change in that respect too? So yeah, I tell my team this is while we can all say yes, I'm okay with change. I'm okay change. None of us are completely comfortable with it. It's always that unknown factor, and so I think we have to sometimes just be willing to take a risk.
Right. What is your philosophy and approach to servicing clients?
Well, I tell you, like I said, I've been in this business a very long time, and I worked with clients my whole career. And I look at this, and I always look at clients as more partnership.
Right.
I understand. And obviously, I have a case where a vendor, and there may be other vendors that we're working with, and so forth too. But I look at partnership, and I think both parties need to be successful, right? And for everyone to do. I mean, you could lower someone's price, maybe get a better price, somewhere else. But is that going to be good for that company, and is it going to be good for you, right? Is it going to meet the needs? Sometimes, while things can be a commodity, I think sometimes you get what you pay for, right? And from that perspective too, it's we're representing our clients' customers, and so I think it's really important that our first impressions and how we act throughout these calls are representative of that client, and so that's why we always get the questions as we're going through sales. Why should I choose you, right? And then I think that's kind of what I say is like this. And I said, most important, if you've liked everyone here, I am who our company is. And so if you like that and you feel that's going to represent your company well, then that's why you should go with us, right? And so, I think that's important. Like I said, partnerships and just, and like, getting back to the ability to grow. I mean, I love partnering with clients to say, hey, we're going to do this, but I also love clients that say, how do you want to do it? How do you think we should do it? When they're asking your opinion, because they know this is your business, right? And so, you're the experts in this, so they want to hear, your advice and what you think may make sense in that respect too. So, yeah, I think the biggest thing is partnership, and just being honest. No one's perfect, no organization's perfect, mistakes happen, and they're never malicious. They're always usually something simple, and we have to get it fixed and so forth too. So yeah, I think you got to it's going to happen, but yeah.
Wonderful. So Ben, what types of services does Ansafone Contact Centers provide?
Well, I think, Ansafone, the nice thing about it is we're very diversified. So, we have some dedicated clients that we work with in the healthcare industry, dental, insurance, and so forth too. And so a lot of the work we do is, TAS, the telephone answering service. I would say our business is probably split between, 50% what I would say customer service calls, which are 8 to 10-minute calls. So longer calls, gathering a little, more information, going into a client's database and doing some CRM work. I would say then the other half is our task business, which is, it's really answering service stuff. But even within then, there's a variety of, are we just taking messages? Are we dispatching out to a doctor? Really kind of working within the hospital or doctor practice to, find out how do they want us to communicate? And the interesting thing is, as we go through, we're developing technology that's going to make it a lot easier for our task clients to retrieve messages. Sometimes it's a waste of someone's time to call in and have someone read the messages, right? So we're going to have a process down where basically people can get their own messages, listen to them when they want. Because sometimes people are driving, so they can't write anything down anyway, too. And so what's been really, and it kind of gets back to that 50-year thing where, we're evolving so much, a lot to just, not only from a people perspective, but also from a technology perspective as well. And I say this, there's nothing we can't do, but I also think, we want to make sure that, we do stuff that we can, be successful in, and that, those are our areas of expertise. But like I said, there's really nothing we can't do.
Got it. So Ben, in your years in this industry, what are some major challenges you had to overcome? Can you share like a client experience where, it was a very dire situation and you had to come up with a solution right away on the spot to save that client?
Yeah, I'll kind of say it was actually probably a combination of the center and the clients as well. So as you know, a few years back, Puerto Rico was hit with a hurricane.
Right, yeah.
Direct hurricane. And usually, I've worked near shore for a lot, not only for Puerto Rico, but also Dominican Republic and so forth. So, it's interesting the dynamics of hurricanes, and that, Puerto Rico never got a direct hit. And so, as this one was coming, it was building up steam and, and so forth. And, I remember talking to my manager at the time. He's like, we're going to be okay. It's going to, we'll get some rain and that will be it. And all of a sudden, it was everything. And so, yeah, it took a huge effect on the island. Communications were all shut down. Well, that's our job, right? So, clients can't call into us because their lines are down, right? And, being in a medical profession, which we were as well too,
Right.
it can be like a life and death type situation. So, yeah, I will say, what I will, so when that happened, obviously, I've never been down in terms of not being able to do something that long, right? It was
Yeah.
just like, this was like building from scratch. And so, from my standpoint, what was great was with pulling our team together at the time and just really figuring out, what we can do, because it wasn't going to be business as usual. There was just no way it was going to be business as usual.
Right.
And because, we were in a building, that building was tempted to be closing. So we didn't have remotes at the time. So there's a lot of stuff. But, so we were able to work through that. And, for me, I'm a people person. And I think throughout this whole process, I looked at two things: making sure our team members were fine and making sure our clients were fine.
Right.
So we had to reach clients in a different way, right, than we would normally. And so it was getting them back out saying, what do you need from us? We were down, technically officially down 3 days where we couldn't do anything. But once back up, it was working with our clients to say, what do you want us to do for you? And so, yeah, I think that was kind of the dire situation. It's probably the worst situation that I've ever gone through. I would never want to go through that again, just because of obviously the devastation that happened. And yeah, and we were able to come out of it, and it was amazing the compliments we had from our clients in terms of just truly being there for them and doing everything we can to make sure that that we could help them and make sure their service continued. So.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, I mean, natural disasters and situations like that, that is life and death. It just sounds like, Ansafone was a major life force in that situation.
Yeah, and I think being in Florida, obviously, the challenge we have right now is the with our sites in Florida, and I think when even if you have work from home, the challenge is everyone is going to be by that center, right? So anything that hits, it's going to continue to hit over there too. And so what we're trying to do a lot more is diversify a little bit, diversify our workforce, because you can't plan for natural disasters, but you have to in some respect, right?
Right.
And so I think, doing a combination of, my philosophy is always to have a combination of, brick and mortar centers, right? Near shore or offshore, and then work from home. And work from home, when I say work from home, I'm saying diversified work from home, not local to a center, right? Because the more you can diversify, the more you can just continue to operate. Now, we've done some great things here from a technology perspective, of being put more things in the cloud. So it gives us a lot of options in terms of, not having a physical server. Our servers are in a secured location, so they're pretty much resistant to weather. So it gives us that option to do that. But at least then from a people perspective, we can, because even though it may not be a direct hit, we've had a lot of snow this winter. As as I tell my team in Miami, which was our task company, or I said, I've never been in a situation where we've had two storms of the centuries within 2 weeks. Because it was like, one was 3 feet of snow, one was 2.5 feet of snow, and you would hear weathermen saying that. I'm like, my gosh, this is too. And plus, we had 2 holidays, so it was just such a, it's a crazy time. But and then you unfortunately have the situation, in Texas. And so we have some major clients there. And, it was unfortunate what had happened because, their client base is calling us. We can't get in contact with anyone because everything was down and so forth too. And, again, another situation though, where we're finally able to get in contact, maybe and just do something a little bit different to kind of appease, to kind of help their client base as well too. So, yeah. So again, at least it gives you diversifies you a little bit so that if you do have storms or something, you can kind of switch things over and move. Now, you're never going to be able to handle all the traffic like the same way you would with everyone else, but at least you're not down. So there may be delays, but at least you're continuing to operate. You're never shut down.
Right. Yeah, I just want to touch upon what you mentioned about cloud technology, which is really interesting because from what I've learned from Ansafone is there's no geographic limit, right? So
Correct.
cloud technology is pretty much everywhere.
Yep.
And you're also PCI compliant?
Correct. Yeah. So we handle, and so part of our client base, we process credit cards. And
Right.
so, for people who are purchasing things and so forth too, our agents will go through the process of, taking the credit card information and processing it too. So from a systems perspective, we are very, yeah, we're very protected, and
Right.
we're very cautious. And so we're locked down a lot just because it's easy. The easiest way for a hacker to get in is email. The easiest way to
Mm,
get in on everything. And so, it's interesting because, I'll get some of the people will say, well, I Googled this and I can't get into it. And I go, yeah, there's a reason why. And it's
right.
not because we don't want you to get in there, from a personal perspective, it's just that it takes, it's a risk to our operation. And then we accommodate our team with that. We just say, okay, if you need to go online, use this computer.
Right.
This is one's free. It's off our network. You can do whatever you want to it or
Right.
whatever. But at least then we don't have to worry about things. It's like we have to control everything that comes in, but we also
Mhm.
have to control everything that goes out too, right? So
Mhm.
it is kind of like a bubble, and in terms of where can we let the information and so forth too. But again, it doesn't impede us from doing our business. It doesn't hinder our results with our clients. I mean, PCI is not there to hurt your business,
Mhm.
and you do not want to develop. And they're not asking you to develop processes that are gonna hurt your business, right? It's more
Right.
doing it in conjunction with, okay, here's the standards. Really, what you're trying to do is, okay, you don't want any viruses to come in. So how can you handle that? It doesn't want to impede your business. Well,
Right.
you can't do this. So PCI is good, and our team is good in terms of recognizing this. I've worked
Right.
for companies where they're so rigid, where it's like, we can't do this, we can't do this, we can't do this. Well, the problem is we lost business because of it. And
Mhm.
that's not the intent of why we're doing PCI, right? PCI, that's never its intention is to lose business. It's obviously to safeguard your business, safeguard the customers, and, safeguard the credit card information because, unfortunately in our times right now, that is still a big thing.
Right. Yes. I mean, just so the audience knows and the general public and businesses, PCI compliant just means data security, right?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's actually a board that's sponsored by the major credit card carriers,
Okay.
Discover, Chase, and Citibank, and so forth too. And they work with the National PCI board that basically develops the standards and processes of, if you are going to process credit cards, this
Mhm.
is how you want to do it. And again, it's just safeguarding information. And every business is a little bit different. It really all depends upon what you do, and
Right.
you kind of adjust from that accordingly. But that's exactly what it is. It's all, I'll say, our security, I think, is top notch in terms
Mhm.
of just being protective of our data. I never have to worry about data integrity, anything like that. We have some really good safeguards. We actually just went through an audit to basically have a company try to bust our system up, and
Oh,
just hack
wow.
into it.
Right.
And it was interesting because one of my coworkers was getting all these emails like, what is this? This isn't me. Well, basically it was the message of someone's trying to get into your system, right? Someone's trying to get into
Mhm.
your email, because again, email being the easiest way to do it. So, and yeah, we pass with flying colors on that. So, and we do
That's
that twice a
wonderful.
year. And it's not just email, it's going to be back end ways to find out into the system and so forth too. So yeah, we're good from that per se. Yeah, I never ever would worry about data here. So that's for sure.
That's wonderful. And for the medical industry, HIPAA compliant text messaging is key also, correct?
Yeah, exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. I mean, obviously, you want to be very careful about the information that you're sending,
Mhm.
in terms of, because it got, you can control what you have here. When it's going out, you lose a lot of the control. So, and we've actually had to tell clients no, in
Mhm.
terms of some of the information that they'd like to see, because we're like, no, we can't do that, because it's a risk, obviously, from a certification perspective, but it's also not the right thing to do, right, from a patient perspective. So, yes, we're very conscious of, or that's what I'm looking for, very protective of the information that we're giving out in that. And so, I mean, we've had clients, who we've had to say no to their business
Mhm.
because of what they actually wanted us to do and so forth. So, we just, because we want to do what's right. It's always about
Right.
doing the right thing. So.
That's great. What would you say are your top three accomplishments so far for you and your career?
Oh, in my career, well, I
Yeah.
tell you, I think, yeah, I guess longevity being one of them, you know, I
Right.
mean, I can't say like I'm the only one who's been in this industry that long, but I can honestly say when I was in high school and going to college, I never thought call center was going to be my thing. You
Right.
know,
And
I mean,
so,
I mean, I don't think anyone goes, I'm going to go to school for this, you know, and
right.
I'm going to develop my career. You just kind of land into it. And for me, you know, I mean, honestly, since I've been 16 years old, this is all I've done, except for 1 year in retail. Other than that, this is
Oh,
all I've done, and I've done, you know, every role. And so I think for me, I can get a different perspective of all types of employees, you know, from agents to CEOs to clients and so forth too. And I think, like I said, I can really adjust and relate to all of the team members there. And so I say overall that. But you know, in terms of accomplishments, I think it's more you know, expanding. At previous jobs, I've had to open up new centers. Uh,
mhm.
there's not a there, there's not a directional manual to say this is step by step what you do. So a lot of it is, you know, figuring, you know, out what you're going to do. I feel, you know, my accomplishments wherever I've gone, financially, we've always, you know, met our goals from that perspective, and that there's always been growth. And so, you know, I feel being a key part of that is, I feel a key part of that just because of driving everyone towards a common goal. You know, and I think sometimes where businesses may go a little different is because goals are different, you know, and even if it gets down to bonuses, right, everything needs to be aligned, you know,
Mhm.
and that's the key thing. And I think if you have everything aligned, then everyone's working towards the same thing. So yeah, I think it's just been, you know, I just being in this industry a long time, you know, just being successful in terms of, you know, I've had the downsides as well too. Obviously, that's not the fun part of it, but
Right.
something you have to obviously do what's, you know, best for the business and so forth too. And yeah, just working. You know, I've worked with clients that are $30 a month to clients that were, you know, that are 5 million a month. You know, and
Right.
so you know that part is again trying to you know, can't really, not the same in terms of, you know, what they are, but their business is just as important, right? And so
Mhm.
it's like how do you manage that part of it?
Yeah, it sounds like you have quite a range, and that's very valuable in this industry.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah, you have to. You know, when I started in this industry, everything was segmented. You know, if you were operations, you stayed in the operations lane. If you were
Right.
client services, you stayed in that lane. And now, you know, what's so good to see is everyone's all working together. You know, we're all. I always kind of phrase it silly this way: we're all on the highway together. You know,
Right.
and we're going to a certain point. You know, we're going to get off at the same time. You know, we're going to meet our destination at the same time. And you know, it's good because you need that. I mean, I think, you know, for me, I've had, you know, you know, one time I was COO of an organization, so I had sales and client services and IT and everyone reporting into me. And, you know, and even here with the groups, you know, it's so good. You have to listen to people. You know, you have to get.
Mhm.
Sometimes people can take it in a defensive way, like, you know, this is my
Mhm.
area. You know, you shouldn't tell me what to do. But I
Right.
mean, I look at it, and you need to make sure your group has that trust. Is you got to look at it as saying, okay, what? Give me a different perspective. You know, because I'm not always right. You know, I have to figure
Mhm.
out what's kind of best with it. So yeah, I think
Mhm.
when you're not open to new things and you think you know everything, you're in big trouble. You know, because
Right. Right.
you don't realize how narrow-minded you become. You know, and how your creativity is not there anymore. It's very
Mhm.
stifled when you do that.
Mhm. No, that's a great mindset to have. So, Ben, in your decades of experience in this industry, what would you like to see happen in the future for the industry of BPO?
You know, I think it's really you know, it's really I think from a customer based perspective of just
Mhm.
continuing. So, you know, you look at it this way, and when you say decades, I feel very old now, but I guess that's a true statement. But you know, it's funny. You know, I always say, look, when I started, but I think, you know, I've seen, you know, to me, I've seen some things just evolve over time too, not just from a systems perspective, but also, you know, from a offering perspective, right? And I
Mhm.
would say, like, you know, 10 years ago,
Right.
doing chat and email, it was always talked about. You know, it was always a big, but never happened. You know, and I sort of made the comment like, okay, when it starts, let me know. You know, come in because we all talked about it. And now to our point, that's the service we offer. chat being a huge thing. Now, not everyone wants to do it. So I look at from a BPO perspective is you're always going to have a diverse client base, right? And so it's making sure you have enough channels for people to do that. I'm not going to classify, age groups or anything like that, but certain people like to talk to people, right? And they want to make sure they have that contact. They don't want, a recording on there. They don't want to leave a message. Some people, just don't like the system better, right? They like preferring chat, or some people just, some don't even want to talk to you, right? They just want everything to be, website driven and so forth too. And so I think, for that's the thing I think that's going to be a key for our organizations for BPO is just being diversified, and from a vendor perspective, being diversified as well, that you can support that.
Ben, what do you feel is the greatest strength of Ansafone contact centers?
I think I think it really comes down. It comes down to our people. It really does. And I mean, I know a lot of organizations will say that, but I've met. We have over almost 600 employees right now, and growing quickly. And not that I've met every single person, but the people I have met, I have been amazed at. Working towards a common goal. I mean, a lot of times people can come in, punch the clock, do my time, leave, and
Right.
I have people, which, I always tell people, when you're done for the day, right? Don't worry about anything else. But the passion they have to be successful, and the concern they have for the organization, and the clients is just remarkable. I mean, you have people who feel like, who will defend their client, not defend, but support their client. Like, no, we can't do that, or this isn't how to do it, because they feel they're part of that. And I think that really helps us, obviously, grow as an organization. I think we have a lot. It's good teamwork. It's probably one organization that I've been with that has the best part in terms of teamwork, in terms of working together. I'll be honest with you. When we introduce some new things, which I actually have talked to agents as well, because I can sit here and say, oh, this is a great idea, it will work, but they're the ones using it. And so if it doesn't work for them, then it's really not a good idea. And what's nice is I can reach out directly to them, and they can be very honest with me to say, this is not a good idea, but this is what's going to happen, and so forth. And so it's good. We trust each other, right? We're very transparent with each other. And so that's what I think what makes this organization different is its people, and that's what has allowed us to grow.
What is your management team like?
Oh, they're superb. They are, I'm sure my old managers may be saying, "What about us?" I've always, what I've looked at is this: is I think, you need a team that challenges you, okay? And to have yes people it's just never a good thing. And that you need the people. Now it creates conflict, and it's more so making sure that you trust each other, right? And it's okay to disagree. It's even okay to even get loud voices. There's nothing wrong with that, as long as we all respect each other. And at the end of the day, we kind of come to an agreement. So my team has such a diverse background in terms of, what their strengths are. I've got people who are very process driven, and have created manuals and support to make any new person that comes in can just step right in and knows the process. I have another person who's more into, who does a great job at developing team members, and one who is great at client retention. So everyone's a little bit different. I think, but the one common thing I will say, just as I kind of said before with that, is their dedication. Their dedication to this. I could call them at 10 o'clock at night and they would pick up the phone. Obviously we tried to avoid that, but, our business is 24/7. So sometimes it would always be nice if something happened 9 to 5, right? Because you have your more support people. But honestly, most of your stuff usually happens at night or overnight. And so, it's more so getting the support, we need. And our systems are very reliable. We're not down 3 months now.
Right.
I will say one time we had a system issue that and not everyone was even affected by it. And it was maybe a half hour. I mean, our uptime is incredible. I've never been with an organization that has that much uptime. And so, but things do happen. And so the nice thing is when they do, everyone's willing to just, whatever it is, step in and help out and figure out what we need to do.
Very impressive. Ben, what would you say is your happiest experience you've had so far at Ansafone?
Oh, my happiest experience. I would say my first day.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Yeah, well, because so if you look throughout my career, I usually stay at companies and positions a long time, and
Right.
not because I just like it, right? And so the previous company I was at, they acquired, yeah, they acquired us from another company, and so I stayed with them and so forth too. And it was all good, everything was fine and so forth too. But when I came here, it's like learning everything new, right?
Mhm.
System wise, process wise. I mean, even just simple things of how do you request, a day off? It's just kind of understanding all this stuff too. And I can just honestly say it was the happiest day I did there. One, because it was my first day
Mhm.
and starting a new career and a new company. I was very excited for that to happen. And but the people there was like anyone I went to was like whatever you need, and seriously, it was whatever I needed. I mean, I would just request something, and everything was there. So it's just kind of like I said, the welcoming feeling I had
Mhm.
from them in that respect too. So that part I would say, was just my happiest day. I mean, I have others too. Like, we had a client that was going to cancel on us,
Mhm.
and pulled the team together to see. And we were having issues. It was definitely something that we weren't doing wrong, but it was fixable. So for me, it was just convincing that client to give us a chance, and stay on board. And here's me, the new guy, right? And they're just, they don't know me at anything, right? Why should I trust you from that perspective too? But
Mhm.
but they gave us that opportunity, right? And I think that comes back into that partnership as well, is
Mhm.
making sure that we have some trust with each other. They know we're going to kind of get that done. So yeah, that was probably another happy day. Well, I don't say happiest, but another happy day for us too, because it was a major client. And losing that client would have had some major effects on our organization. And it was fixable. That was the good thing. We were able to fix it for the client. And since then, we've developed procedures and processes that it won't happen again. And I think that's the one thing with mistakes, obviously, is just learning from them. And then, how do you avoid them as you move forward?
Wonderful. Well, I have a few couple last questions for you, Ben, and they're more
Absolutely.
personally based, kind of getting your insights on a few things. One is, what would you say to an aspiring entrepreneur when it comes to building a new business?
Oh, I tell you, I respect entrepreneurs so much. I've worked for three of them over the time of my career, four of them actually. I've always worked for some, and I really have learned so much from them. And I admire them so much because, to have the thing to lose everything, right? To take that chance, right? And
Exactly.
to lose everything, and so what I can say, like from my perspective, what's helped me is that they've allowed me to not be as conservative, and I think when I first
Mhm.
started my career, I was very, conservative, cautious, didn't want to make, bad decisions, whatever, too. And I had one of my mentors who said, you do a great job of analyzing it. And if you analyze it, then you're not just making, you're making the best decision you can possible. So that's okay. He goes, when you're flying by the seat of your pants, he goes, your decision may not work out, but at least you kind of have to go through it. So what I would say, from that point, the entrepreneur is just really, having that ability to take that chance, to look at something new, because, even now there's what we have now in the future, there's going to be different things, right? And so it's having that vision and really being open in that respect. So yeah, I
Mhm.
think that's the best thing I can do from that perspective too, is just really, yeah, analyze it, but be
Mhm.
comfortable making that decision. As long as you've done your homework, then that's the only thing you can do then, is make that decision. So
Great advice. Thank you.
mhm.
And my last question then is, do you have any specific message you'd like to share with the world today?
With the world, oh,
Yeah.
yes, that, what, I will say this. COVID obviously has been, a huge thing, and it's affected so many people. And I'll tell you one thing that I think is important for me at least, is like you appreciate things more, and I think that's the biggest thing that has changed a lot of people. And, from my standpoint, I know it's going to sound funny, but people are nicer. I mean, just
That's
people
so
are, I mean,
interesting to
generally
say.
people are just nicer, right?
Right.
Because I think, you're isolated. So when you do talk to someone, it's really forced us to change. And what I hope is that we stay with it, and that we don't go, the normal, who knows when that's going to kind of completely happen. But when we do reach that point, I hope there is no more normal. I hope it's just more of what we're doing right now, just enhancing it, and then we can just do more things. And so, yeah, I guess, that's my thing is just, be nice to each other, really.
Yeah.
Things can happen very quick. Who would have ever, no one ever did predict a pandemic, right? That would have this cause, and so you never know what can happen. And so, I think no matter what you're doing, whatever business you're in, I just think being a good person is still the thing, still the thing you do, and that's what's going to make you successful.
Yeah, no, that's a great insight. I never thought of it in that way that you mentioned people become nicer. And it made me think that it did trigger people to become almost like higher in consciousness because of that
Absolutely. Yeah, I
situation.
agree.
And
Yeah,
it's really interesting how you said it in that way to make it more transformative. And thank you so much, Ben. I
oh,
really
you're
appreciate you
welcome.
coming on board and taking the time. And where can businesses and people find you at Ansafone? What is
Uh,
your URL?
Actually, so yeah, it can be reached. Actually, if you go to our website,
Yes.
ansafone.com, you can actually pull my information up from there. Email address is ben.martorano@ansafone.com. But yeah, if you just go to our website, you'll see all my information there. And if anyone needs anything, obviously always willing to help anyone. And I love to talk, so always willing to talk to people. So
Wonderful. And the website is www.ansafone.com.
thank
Thank
you
you
very
again,
much for
Ben.
clarifying. Yes, thank you for
Yes.
clarifying that, because when I first started, I kept spelling it wrong, and I
It's
felt horrible when I was doing it. So if you would see my office, I have a big post-it that has Ansafone spelled correctly on that. So I don't think I'll ever get rid of it, because it's just psychologically I look at it. So yeah, so it is definitely. Hey, and I look at it this way: it's spelled different because we're different, and that's why we have it that way. So.
perfect ending. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. I appreciate your time as well, too. It's been fun talking to you.
Fun talking to you as well. Thank
All
you.
right. You're welcome.